We have tried our best to make the impact of budget cuts felt last in the community and in the neighborhoods. And in fact, we're really trying to find ways to ramp up certain of our programs. So neighborhood preservation and revitalization, and to the extent that means replacing infrastructure and renovating parks, trails, sidewalks, streets. Actually, people might see an improvement in some of their neighborhoods. Now, on the other hand, while the council hasn't made this decision, it's not hard to anticipate that something which might be considered a luxury, like the biannual community-wide spring cleanup pickup, all right, could be on the chopping block as far as my recommendations go. The council will make up their own mind, and they may feel differently. Well, my recommended budget actually anticipated a 1.1% increase, roughly, in 09 over, in 10 over 09. Here's the problem with that, and that is that 09 will have proven to be down about 3.5% from 08, which was down from 07. So to say that we have a slight increase coming in 10 is not really helpful to the overall budgetary picture if you understand that we will not even get back to our 08 numbers in 10. It certainly has helped to some limited extent in Arvada. So as examples of specifics in Arvada, we were the only city in Jefferson County to receive actual project dollars, and we did in the amount of $300,000. We literally put a company to work right away with those dollars, and that was to actually make modifications to 86th Avenue to accommodate a bike trail. We were able to do that because we already basically had it designed, and that's what you needed. You had to be so-called shovel ready, right? And that, when it translated down to on the ground, was a pretty significant requirement to have put, which is why not a lot of localities received a lot of money, because we didn't have a lot of projects designed, since you don't design them if you're not going to fund them, right? So, so we were lucky to get those dollars. On the other hand, there were also some competitive dollars for energy efficiencies. It was called the Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant. And we were able to compete and win $1.1 million. And we intend to take the city's message of energy efficiency out to the community. We also have engaged in making a number of modifications to our buildings, not with this money necessarily, but which somewhat set the tone for this, and using the city as an example. So by example, as of last year, 95% of all the energy needs of our water treatment plant, which are huge, are provided by solar. And so if we can take that example and use this $1.1 million and spin that kind of effect in other city facilities and in programs that we deliver to our community, perhaps that will have some value. And finally, we received another $130,000 on community development block grant funds, which we're using to overcome some hazardous situations in a park that serves mostly low and moderate income families. Credit where credit's due to the founding fathers and mothers. They required that the city have a balanced budget. And in fact, the state of Colorado requires a balanced budget. So it will always be balanced. It's just a matter of at what cost. That said, the present conditions really have caused everybody, Arvada being part of that everybody, to re-look at how we do business and to rethink about what our priorities are. I think Arvada has always done pretty well. That is to say, anybody who's been a critic of ours, whether they look at us with, objective eye or rose-colored glasses or cynically, when they study the cost per capita, the cost per person in Arvada of providing government, when you add in the city of Arvada, the recreation district, the fire district, we always come out about number 3 or 4 as the lowest cost per capita. And you're measuring us against a lot of other little cities in the metro area when you do that, which are not necessarily as full service as Arvada is. That is in part because it's part of the culture and the ethic of city councils over time, city staffs over time in Arvada. It's also driven by reality. And the reality is that we don't have a mall. We don't have high-end stores. We have a very basic tax base. And it's small and predictable, which is, the predictability part is nice. The small part can be a hindrance to, let's say, providing a lot nicer things that you may covet from other communities if that were the case. But also, we don't get ahead of ourselves. And we're always checking to make sure that what we build, we can maintain. What we provide, we can continue to provide. When we hire an employee, we can continue to fund that person's position. When we buy a truck, we have a maintenance fund set up to maintain that truck. So we're very, very practical and quite frugal with our money. Well, I will say this, and this is at the risk of sounding contrary to my own recitations and evaluation of the Arvada city budget. And that is to say, as you look around, as this community and its infrastructure ages, it should be pretty clear to folks that there probably isn't enough money, as is true in many, many communities and counties and the state, to maintain all of our facilities at the most reasonable level, at, let's say, an optimum level, not necessarily the best, but given the resources, what condition should they be? So as an example of that, where a cycle of the aging of streets should find us with roughly 30 to 35% of our streets in good condition, maybe 35% in fair, and maybe a slightly lesser number in poor, let's say in the 15s to 20s. And then just because they're at the end of the line for resurfacing, there might be a few streets that are poor, so let's say 7 to 10%. In Arvada today, any objective evaluation would have those numbers almost reversed. That is to say, only about 10% of our streets are good, and then the rest range in about 30% down to poor. And to have 30% of our streets in poor condition is unfortunate. It is a function of the services we provide versus the maintenance we do. In order to maintain the services and have a higher level of maintenance, we probably are going to need more money. That said, then the question for, let's say, the user in this case, the driver, anybody who's driving on our streets, would you rather pay a little bit more in taxes, or would you rather pay a lot more in front end alignments and tires? So, and it's a balance that a lot of people don't think about. And it's true, as you look around a lot of places, as Arvada has grown, do we really have the number of plows we should have to stay ahead of a big snowstorm? The answer to that is no. And so the inconvenience is to the driver or the person trying to get to their job or to school or whatever. What's that worth to you? Those are questions we're going to have to answer for ourselves in the longer run.